It's time for Forward Nation Radio. Now here he is, the host of Forward Nation Radio, David Leventhal.
Welcome to Forward Nation Radio with me, David Leventhal. As always, thank you for joining us. In the wake of Vladimir Putin's historic presidential re-election. Wait, no, don't panic. He won the Russia presidency this time. It's not 2020 yet. Don't worry. Yes, Vladimir Putin now apparently owns two presidencies. On the show this week, we will be talking a little bit about guns and the upcoming march. We will be talking about White House Watch, the latest goings on in the White House, Russia, and zombie economic policies. Let's first start off with guns. We thought we were going to start off by saying, well, we've managed to go through a week without a mass shooting hitting the news or a school shooting, and unfortunately we weren't able to reach that mark for this week. It has been a couple of weeks since a school shooting, so I guess you could argue we were due. We are in the wake of the latest school shooting in Maryland. This one was not a mass shooting. And the lessons still need to be drawn from this one. It looks like the shooter had a personal relationship with at least one of the victims at the time that we go to air this, leading us to wonder about how some of the proposed policies for fixing this will deal with it when men start thinking, or boys start thinking, they can shoot ex-girlfriends or anyone who pisses them off. This Saturday is the gun rally, the Rally for Life. We will be in the New York City rally, Forward Nation Radio team. We hope to see you there or at whatever rally is where you are. But please, if you are interested in this issue, and if you are not, why not? If you are interested in this issue, find the time to show up at the rally near you. You will find it an energizing experience. So, White House Watch. Well, good news this week. This week, Barron Trump turns 12. Can a cabinet appointment be far behind? Better watch out, Jeff Sessions. Trump's got somebody he can replace you with now, his 12-year-old son. And why not? Given the rest of the goings-on in the White House, it's been another fun week of White House shuffle. The best, I guess, goings-on, Larry Kudlow to replace Gary Cohn as head of the National Economic Council. Larry Kudlow. What is his recommendation for a position as top economic advisor? Well, he was on TV. He's a TV star. Wow, that guy's got to be qualified for any position in the White House. What else might qualify him to head the National Economic Council? Apparently, he has a record of being wrong that almost anyone, except for Donald Trump, can aspire to. Being wrong about just about everything of issue that he has opined about.
He'll fit right in.
He'll fit right in with the rest of the White House. He'll probably have a great relationship with Barron when he becomes Attorney General. Here's a man who thinks that we should go back to the gold standard, something that we kind of moved on from a couple of generations ago. A man who's been hawking the evils of inflation, Republican dogma and orthodoxy at a time when we had no inflation and it was not a concern, and who has not yet awakened to the fact that he has been wrong all those years, which really qualifies him to work in a Republican White House. The inability to ever admit error. Speaking of the inability to ever admit error, he is one of the last adherents to supply-side orthodoxy at a time when the entire rest of the country has moved on, including the people who first proposed supply-side economics. Here's a man who says if you just give more of our resources to rich people, we'll be rolling in dough. We'll have a little more on this later in the show. The writer Jonathan Chait, referring to Larry Kudlow, wrote, has elevated flamboyant wrongness to a form of performance art, which I thought was a wonderful, pithy statement about what it means now in the Trump administration. We were worried in the beginning about the quality of the administration, and it turns out it's getting worse. Or as Donald Trump says, he's finally getting the White House he wanted all along. Coming up, apparently, Homeland Security head H.R. McMaster may be the next one to be forced out. We're all on White House watch, waiting. By the time you watch this, it may have happened. The best part of this story, remember that McMaster was one of the people who was viewed as an adult in the White House, and one of the ones who apparently signed on to the pact that said if President Trump goes completely insane and tries to start a nuclear war, they would actually tackle him to stop him from launching nukes. He is going to be replaced by John Bolton, who may be the one person on the planet more likely to start a nuclear war than Donald Trump. John Bolton, a fire-breathing Republican, who years ago, when he was nominated by Bush to become ambassador to the UN, we had a Republican senator, George Voinovich, who famously quipped that John Bolton is the poster child of what someone in the diplomatic corps should not be. We found out that he was widely hated by almost everyone who worked for him. Since that time, he has gone on to be a frequent contributor to Fox News and demonstrate not only is he a mean asshole, but he's insane. This may soon be whispering in our president's ear. Apparently, Gina Haspel, our soon-to-be nominated new CIA chief, is going on a charm offensive right now in Congress to try to make sure that she could get confirmed. And when we talk about charm offensive with Gina Haspel, what that means is I think she's waterboarding some members of the United States Senate right now to get them to vote for her confirmation. If she moves up, it's because Mike Pompeo has moved from head of the CIA to Secretary of State. Mike Pompeo, a Republican lackey, a former Republican congressman, and not to be missed, a complete Koch brothers lackey. Someone who apparently was not only the largest recipient of Koch brothers money in our Congress over the last few years, but basically doubled that of Paul Ryan, who was in second place. So moving into the White House, if they're not already there, the Koch brothers. Also in the news regarding the White House and all this reshuffling, Donald Trump apparently now feels empowered. That's right, Donald Trump, that brave and fearless leader, reports are, was basically cowering in a corner of the White House or at Mar-a-Lago or some other place where he felt safe from anyone who might criticize him for the first year. But now he's feeling emboldened, and God help the rest of us. An emboldened person is more likely to start a war. So we move to Russia. Russia's been in the news a lot this week. Once again, the news travels faster than we can keep up with it, doing the show only once a week. It seems so long ago that we read that Robert Mueller, the special counsel, subpoenaed the Trump Organization for its records, including finances. This was the red line that Donald Trump had tried to draw many months ago. You cannot look into my finances if you are the special counsel. apparently because he is such a damn criminal that if the special counsel starts looking at this guy's financial history, it is really bad news for Trump. So how does Trump respond to this? Well, he's gone Twitter crazy on this. Itchy Twitter finger. Coming out and blatantly attacking the special counsel and everybody else, something that apparently the adults in the White House had been keeping him under wraps for doing before he felt empowered. But now, feeling empowered, he is blatantly attacking the special counsel. Maybe in prelude of firing him, maybe to set the stage to reduce funding to limit the scope of the investigation and stop him from investigating Trump's finances. People say, some Republicans even said, that if Trump fires a special counsel, that could be the beginning of the end for his presidency. First, let's point out that because Republicans say it doesn't mean they're going to do it. Republicans have spoken bravely in the past, and then when push comes to shove, they've backed down and wimped out. Remember the days when it was quaint that Barack Obama drew a red line in the sand and Republicans were all upset because he let someone cross it? Well, now we're seeing that throughout the Republican Party. But they say, gee, if he does this, this is a red line. This is going to be the end of his presidency. Lindsey Graham and others. Mitch McConnell is notably silent. Maybe Trump's going kind of insane. Maybe he's doubling down. Or maybe he knows what the special counsel is going to find. And he may figure that one way or another, his presidency is ending. And his better option is to fire the special counsel before they find out all this stuff, or at least limit the investigation before they find out all this stuff, and hope that he can keep the Republicans in the fold. It seems so long ago that we were talking about Britain's response to the Russian assassination attempt in Great Britain. We're still wondering if Britain will go for the Russian money, which is what will really have an impact on Russia. The oligarchs, the criminals, and the scumbags are spending billions of dollars in real estate in London, as they are in New York. You want to stop these people? Seize the assets. They're criminals. Take their shit. Give it to humans. And let's see how that goes. Let's really try some trickle-down economics for a change. Maybe that's more trickle-down politics than trickle-down economics. But even that's kind of old news because of the latest bombshell regarding Cambridge Analytica. Steve Bannon and billionaire Robert Mercer's firm to try to make sure that the American public is stupid enough to vote for their candidates in presidential and congressional elections. And make no mistake, that's what they are all about. You know, that entity that has frequently been described as closely tied to the Trump campaign. Well, it turns out Cambridge Analytica has stolen private data from about 50 million to perhaps 60 million Facebook users. Or as they describe it, they are accumulating the arsenal of weapons that they need to fight the culture wars. Yes, that's actually the way they put it. They are going to war. Well, you've probably read about the sting operation by Channel 4 News in Britain. Turns out, no less than the CEO of Cambridge Analytica was talking about committing criminal acts, fraud, entrapment, hiring prostitutes to go and cozy up to your political opponents as a way to discredit them.
People can check the video on this too. They can just YouTube it.
People can check the video, which of course Cambridge Analytica says is sliced and diced heavily to make it look like Cambridge Analytica was doing something wrong, when it turns out what they say is they were pretty much just going after these bad guys because they were concerned that they were proposing some of these negative things were to happen. In other cases, you might almost believe it, except they have a recent history of lying, including lying to the British Parliament about how they obtained their information. Turns out Parliament wants to invite them back. Apparently, their testimony in Parliament may have been sliced and diced and re-edited to make it look worse than it really was when they were lying to Parliament. Here, closer to home in America, we see that they broke the law by working with foreigners after they were already warned to not work with foreign entities to affect a U.S. presidential campaign. Warning, schmorning, who gives a crap? We do what we want. Will the Mercers go to prison on this one? I know, we're a zero-tolerance society. Maybe the Mercers are going to go to prison. I'm not sure what Cambridge Analytica exactly did as far as the presidential election. There is some dispute over how much impact they actually had. Some people argue that Facebook was already being so corrupted and the data on Facebook was being so misused that they didn't really need Cambridge Analytica and they didn't really rely on Cambridge Analytica. I don't know, this will play out. But either way, this is scary shit. This is remarkably scary. We have a new term. Advertisers' demographics are old news. Your age, your income, your education. Now we have a term, psychographics, where they could target you to sell products, ideas based on what is going through your head. They are in your brain. They know what you are thinking, and they know to target you with that. And this is really scary stuff. And it bodes ill for the future. Because once a political campaign like that of Donald Trump succeeds in this score, they're going to be emulated by all the other political campaigns who are going to race them to the bottom to win by deceiving and manipulating the American public. As if our elections aren't bad enough now, they may get worse. Speaking of getting worse, just in the news, Alex Stamos, the Facebook Chief Information Security Officer, has been fired. Why? For all Facebook's discussion of getting to the bottom of this and feeling contrite, this is a guy who apparently said we should be more open with investigators and we should come clean about what we are doing. A lot of discussions of late. Paul Krugman's another brilliant column this week talks about conservative economic theory and refers to it as zombie economics. Because no matter how discredited it is, it refuses to die. Zombie economics. The problem with that, I love the term, except for one thing. You kill zombies by attacking their brains. That indicates there's some brain function there. And I think it's being overly generous to ascribe brain function to the people who are promoting these bullshit economic policies. Maybe vampire economic policies? The problem is that doesn't work either because vampires get killed by a stake through the heart, which implies they have a heart. The people promoting these policies clearly do not have a heart. Since they think with and act with their guts, I don't know, is there some fictional evil character that gets killed by being disemboweled? This should be disemboweling economic policies. Anyway, that's just a quibble. What are some of these policies? We will be discussing these further in weeks to come, where we'll be addressing the real problem behind Republican orthodoxy and Trump and Republican policies, such as the tax cut. As a preview, we saw in yesterday's news, white victimization. The angry white male who feels that he's powerless in his own country. That argument, once again, laid to rest, at least among breathing, living people, by a study run by Harvard, Stanford, and Census Bureau researchers that shows once again that black males, no matter what their economic station in life, no matter what else, are punished for being black. Then there's supply-side economics. Yes, Larry Kudlow and much of the Republican orthodoxy, which was still much of the idea of the tax bill. The tax bill, the tax cuts for rich people are going to create so much economic activity that we're not going to have to worry about raising money because we're all going to be richer. Even the Republicans showed they didn't believe in that when Paul Ryan came out and said we need to cut entitlement spending. So much for that. And finally, deregulation. All these policies that you are reading about deregulation, deregulating Gulf oil rigs, deregulating new pharmaceutical companies like Theranos and Elizabeth Holmes, built on a fraud. Or maybe the Kushner family filing false housing documents. The idea that the economic system will function efficiently in the absence of government oversight is probably the single most offensive, destructive, and dangerous of all disembowelment economic policies.
It's a big issue. Can't wait to dive into that.
It is a big issue. Next week, no matter what happens in the news, we will make sure to find the time to discuss a little bit more about the Kushner family and where we stand on deregulation, because there will be more in the next week. That's it for today's show. Thank you for joining us. Looking forward, go to forwardnationradio.com. That's forwardnationradio.com to get the full experience. We will have the video from this in every episode there and on our YouTube channel as well. We can be available for audio download on Podbean at podbean.com. Stay tuned for more information on that in the future. If you like what you heard, love what you heard, tolerate what you heard, please like us on Facebook. Yeah, whatever, if you're going to use it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share our tweets. Tell your friends. Spread the word. Forward Nation Radio. Thanks a lot. Stay safe. See you next week.
You've been listening to Forward Nation Radio with David Leventhal.